name is Doyle, and I was recently going over my camera roll and discovered videos of me recording my progress of making my first ever sketch into an actual sample for my brand byFucha. And I thought it would be wise to show this, somewhere. And I documented over 40 hours of work that I spent on the process. So I want for this video to share my experience, and I hope you enjoy it. byFucha, what does it stand for? Fucha's been something I've been going by ever since I was 10. And at the time I really wanted to go by Future, but for a pretty silly reason, I couldn't. Like, the Instagram handle was already taken. So I settled for whatever sounded close to Future, and in my case, that ended up being Fucha. The by in byFucha adds a touch of creation and an artistic element to the designer. I always like to think of myself as an artist, not a designer, and I think that the two-letter word by helps me to do so, as I've always been an artist first and a designer second. So to put it very simply, my purpose is to capture experience and feeling within my garments. And those experiences could be those that I felt or something that someone else around me has felt, and I'm really just trying to put that into clothes.
What really matters is experience.
The first step to all this was coming up with a design that would really capture my goals effectively. And from a young age, and I think most people as well, they've always associated color with experience. And I decided that my design, whatever I did, would involve many patches of color. So I ended up settling for a final design sort of like this. So the next essential step was really processing and coming up with the correct measurements. And if you have a piece of clothing that sort of replicates the fit that you want, that's not hard to do. You can measure it by yourself. But unfortunately for me, I didn't have any sweats. I didn't know anybody who had the sweats or like anything that was remotely close to what I was trying to create. So I had to come up with the measurements myself, and a lot of trial and error took place.
Hey Doyle, what's been so important on your laptop this much?
It's just something I've been working on. Do you want to take a look?
Yeah, let me see.
Process of making my sweatpants, what was really essential was for me to buy all the materials that I needed. So this included the embroidery, the fabric, and buttons. This actually took up a lot of time just because Dongdaemun market, the primary market for Korea related to anything clothing wise, was an hour and a half away. Step number 4 was to get the patterns made. To be completely frank with you, for this part, I had a manufacturer cut the patterns for me, so my knowledge regarding this area is limited. Step 5 was embroidery, and it took over 20 hours to complete with 11 patches of fabric. So there were many steps within this step itself, and the first step to all this was to have a special form of paper glued to the sweats, so in that way, it wouldn't alter the shape of the fabric in itself. I then used Adobe Illustrator to convert the files from Procreate into files that my embroidery machine would understand. Once all the files were transferred to the embroidery machine, I had to make sure that the fabric was tight enough as to where when I embroidered it, it wouldn't actually clump the fabric together. And for my final step, I also had to ensure that it's just a constant reminder that some of the string pops out on the embroidery machine. So I had to constantly sit there. I couldn't just, ignore it. I had to be there just in case the string slipped out so I could slip it back in. So once I had my embroidery done and my fabric was fine, I had one final step, which was to take it back to my manufacturer who would assemble the patterns into actual sweatpants. So I'd really like to thank my manufacturer for that. This whole process was an amazing learning experience, and I plan to continue to create and to share more experiences.